Welcome to another episode of Activate God podcast. I am your host, Habibat T. And I'm once again super excited to be here with you all. So this episode, we're going to be talking about navigating through transitions and the struggles and triumphs of transitions. So currently in my life, I'm finding that I am actively in a moment of transition. I am literally transitioning in many areas of my life, right? So if you have not watched this podcast, you don't necessarily know much about me, or maybe you do, I don't know. But I recently graduated from NYU with my second master's degree in visual arts administration, 4 months ago in May. I've been at my job for 5 years, and I celebrated that a few weeks ago. I also am mentoring some adults through this process, and it's about to be over as well. So I'm doing a lot during this season, and it seems like right now I'm also transitioning, even personally, me actively thinking about what my dreams are, and now actively pursuing them, right? So I am literally in a season of transitions. And typically during seasons of transitions, I don't do well. I literally do not, because I'm scared. I'm I don't know what the unknown is, I don't know what the unknown is. I don't know what is the possibility. I'm usually fearful. And this is a season where I'm actually not, which is surprising. So I'm going to tell you what happened and how I got here. And then I also noticed that a lot of my friends, a lot of my loved ones are also navigating through transitions too. So we are literally in a season of transitions, and in about a month from now, we're going to be in another season. I live in New York. Right now I'm in Dallas, but I live in New York, and a month from now we're going to be transitioning into autumn, fall. So literally a lot of things are happening at the same time. So the thing about transitions, the good and the bad, the struggles and the triumphs, is that we have to all navigate through it, right? And then oftentimes how we navigate through transitions is the thing that determines how we are doing generally in terms mentally, emotionally, but also how we enter into the next season. And a little bit about me, a little bit of background about me is, like I mentioned, I struggle with transitions. I'm usually the person who is I don't know what the next steps are, and I'm overwhelmed, and I'm sad, and I'm worried, and I am very fearful, right? And in this season, I don't know, something clicked in my mind where I really started trusting in God, right? Throughout my life, I've been thinking about the many areas of where God has supported me, and the many areas of where I have been protected. And I had to just release control. I had to literally release control. And damn, I did not anticipate crying, so I literally not bring any tissue around me. But yeah, I had to literally think about how do I release control so that God can take over. Yeah, because the truth is, right, I find that when I have planned the things in my life, it did not work out as well as I thought. So what I'm doing instead right now is just pushing through every day, one step by step. I have a goal, I have a vision. I believe that there's a thing that I need to do with my life, so I'm actively pursuing it. But in terms how it works out, I don't know, and I'm just surrendering, right? So particularly during the moments of transitions, I find that by surrendering and just trusting God, it makes things so much easier. It literally makes things so much easier. And once again, I think that in order for you to really transition, and in order for you to surrender, I think there's a particular level of mental capacity and mental ability and mental stability that you need, right? And I'm a big advocate of mental health and just supporting yourself and getting a therapist, counselor, getting on medication if you need to, prescribe medication, because in order for you to transition properly, I think the more mindful you are, the more clear you are in your mind and your heart and your body and your spirit, the easier it is, right? So that's one. So literally taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, etc., right? Those are non-negotiables. But the other thing is about transitions is that so I think by surrendering, you need to be okay emotionally, physically, mentally, and emotionally, physically, spiritually, etc. But the other thing is, I think, just really surrender and just just be at peace and just be at ease. And I think, of course, reflecting on the past and the ways in which you've done it your way versus you've done it God's way, and like just seeing what has happened, what the difference is. And I know for sure, for me, God's way is the best way. I'm an organizer at heart. Like, I literally organize everything. I'm a planner. I'm like a person who needs like details, and I'm really good at it too, as I'm learning. And as much as I'm a planner, like, God plans the best. So I'm just excited. So to go back, I think the reason why like transitions during this season of my life is a little bit easier is because of the ways in which for one, I'm mentally here and I'm mentally well. And then, of course, reflecting on the past, but also just being excited about what the future holds, right? I think for folks, and I'm talking about myself, and I'm talking about like particularly early on, is the reason why I struggle with transitions is because I did not expect the best to be in the future. The reason why I struggled with transitions is because I did not expect the best to be in the future. I expected, and what I was like bringing the energy of is just like, what if things go worse? What if things are not well? And that to me is sad and overwhelming. And that's where I was. And now during the season, I'm like, y'all, like, oh God, you got me, boo. And I'm just gonna let go and just position myself where I need to be, so that whatever it is that God has in store for me, I'm in alignment with that. So that's one piece, y'all. So, and I know for a lot of my friends too, we are going through transitions. Like, I know a friend who is currently actively pursuing a new career and a new job, like literally like going through that process. I know another friend who's actively dating and trying to figure out like what the next steps are for them, literally going through that process. I know another friend who is literally like trying to buy a house and expand their families. Like, literally, like, people are going through transitions. And the truth is, in every area of our lives, we're usually going through transitions in some spaces, whether or not it's big or small. And I think the less worried we are, and the less stress we feel, and the more trusting of God that we have, the easier it is to navigate through it. And of course, like, transitions are like a new job, starting a new career, but transitions are also grief and death too, right? Like, grieving a relationship, shifting relationships, either platonically, romantically, losing a loved one. Those are transitions too, right? And once again, I think, of course, like, grief is like a big thing, so that's a whole nother episode in itself. And I don't even know if I'm the best person to talk about it, but we'll see. But the truth is, I think when you are navigating through transitions, and particularly with like people, I think once again, like, just hoping for the best rather than worse. And of course, like, finding peace with where the things are at the very moment. Yes, finding peace with where things are at the very moment. Yeah, y'all. Wow. Yeah. So, I am currently at a hotel, and I'm so grateful. I'm in Dallas. I'm living my life. And a few months ago, let's go back. So, I just graduated from NYU. I graduated with my second master's degree in visual arts administration. And I decided during my last semester that I was going to take a philanthropy class. I was debating between taking it or not. And then I was talking to my therapist and other people, and they were like, girl, you should take it. You've been thinking about philanthropy for a while. Just do it. And I was like, bet, I will do it. And particularly in the class, it was a Saturday, 9 a.m. on a Saturday for class, the worst. But I showed up to the class. I showed up as much as I could. I showed up presently as much as I could. But like, things were not retaining around that time. But I was also stressed because of being at the end of things. It was a hard time, but I still showed up, right? And I showed up every day, and at some point I talked to my professor, or every week, and I spoke to my professor, and I was like, Professor, right now I work in higher education, and I'm looking to transition into philanthropy. Like, let me know if you want to grab coffee to like possibly talk about like what the transitions will be for me. And she was like, I would love to, like, let's just talk about it like after the semester's over. And I was like, bet, no problem. So at the end of the semester, she emailed me randomly and was like, hey, I saw a fellowship and I think you should apply for it. And I decided to apply, and I wound up getting it, which is crazy to me. Like, Why is it crazy to me? Yeah, I think at this point in my life I should not be surprised that good things are happening to me, because I'm a good person and also because I work hard, right? But it's still surprised because I'm just humble. I think I am. I'm still pushing through that. But I think it is important to notice when things are coming to you and discerning when you should take them or you should not take it. So I applied, I got the position, I spoke to a few of my mentors and they were like, girl, just take it, see what happens. And the fellowship is with the American Muslim Community Foundation, and I am the nonprofit social impact fellow. And when I first got on, I was doing like manual things, like looking up like information about something. I was like doing like database things. And if you know me, you would know that like I'm a personality type of girl. Like I like being outside, and of course I like organizations, but like something about like doing manual things I hate. But I was doing it for like 2 months. Yeah, for like 2 months, while also planning a conference or summit. And during the last month, the summit picked up because it was actually yesterday. So that's August 29th, I think is a day. Thursday, 2024. And it was yesterday. And during the summit, so we were planning the summit. And during like the very last month, I was so excited. And I enjoyed my fellowship. And not because, I did not enjoy it before this. I thought it was okay. But that's when the conference came in and I was like, wow, like I'm enjoying myself, like planning a conference, like y'all, this is exciting. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because like about 5 years ago, I had a job or a graduate assistantship, and I was planning a conference at the time, and I literally was living in New York at the time, and I moved to Jersey for school. So for my first master's degree, college student affairs. And I got a job working at the university. And this particular job was extremely difficult for me for many reasons. And I think for one, the person who the person who I wanted to be had a hard time showing up. And then two, I did not necessarily feel safe in the environment because it was a relatively new environment. And also because just small things here and there. And I did not necessarily have the best experience there. And I also did not necessarily perform as best as I could because of the mental struggles that I was navigating through, the transitions, the learning on the job, and not necessarily being fully confident, and not necessarily feeling like I had 100% of the support that I needed. So it was hard. So I wind up doing it for a year, and then during the second year of my graduate program, I decided to switch because I knew that like I really was not enjoying the process, and it was just not worth it for me. And I found I was losing myself in the midst of it. And I got another job, and it was a relatively good job. I was working at the Dean of Students office helping, And now fast forward about like 7 years later, I become a part of a planning committee to plan a summit, aka conference, right? And I finally understood why I needed to go through that moment. 6-7 years ago to get to this point. And the reason why I needed to go through that moment 6-7 years ago to get to this point is because they needed me at this point. Like the things that I've learned along the way, planning things, that particular conference, that was a whole lot of work for me that I did not necessarily enjoy, prepared me for this moment. And the other thing is like, particularly so I'm actively applying for new jobs. Fun fact. And this is not a surprise. My coworkers, they all know I just graduated. I've been there for 5 years. Everyone else who started with me, 8 people left or 7 people left. So I'm the last one standing, and I'm looking for a new job. Not surprising. And I have been having, like me and my supervisor, who's relatively new, we have not necessarily been able to get in alignment, which of course happens naturally. And I do not necessarily feel super confident in their ability to like speak about me in a way that like really showcases who I fully am, right? New person, and I felt like I needed someone who was a little bit more confident in speaking about me. And while I'm actively on the process of possibly getting another job currently, fingers crossed, inshallah, I get it. God willing, I get it. I was able to use this fellowship as the most recent / current job that I have, which if it wasn't for this fellowship, I probably would have been questioning, who do I use? And if I would question like my supervisor's ability to speak about the fullness of who I am. And once again, moments of transitions, like this is literally, I'm in the midst of it, right? And why do I bring that up? You see, I be long-winded sometimes, and I'm just like gonna go through it. I'm just gonna stay here. Stick with me here, y'all. And one of the things that I've learned. So, where was I going? Where was I going with this? Y'all, sometimes you just be forgetting. You just be rambling, and you decide that you're just gonna be yourself, right? And I hope that my prayer is that you be yourself and I be myself, and we like each other. And if we don't, it's fine. Like, the reality is we do not always have to always like each other and all like each other. Like, there's too many people in this world to want to be validated by everyone, right? But once again, moments of transitions. So I'm actively looking for a new job. I'm actively dating as well. Your girl is single. Future husband, get me out of these dating streets, because this is not cute. Yeah, it's hard out here being single and being okay. Let me this personality showing. This is my personality showing, by the way. It's hard out here being single and being so cute and being fine and being attractive and like being smart and having all of this and being single. I don't understand. It's hard. It's so hard. Now I'm just rambling. But to go back, moments of transitions, struggles and triumphs, right? So the struggles of transitions is that you don't necessarily fully know what the next steps are. And the more you trust in God, the easier it is to navigate through it. And then the other thing is the more prepared you are, for the moments of transitions, the easier it is to navigate through it. The more prepared you are, like literally like positioning yourself in the right place to saying yes, like navigating through fears, etc., the more easier it is for you to navigate through the transitions. And another struggle of transitions is that, like, I believe that during moments of transitions, there's usually oppositions along the way, hurdles. Like, people say bad and negative energy, people say evil eye, people say just like darkness around in some spaces. And I believe that is true, right? Because moments of transitions, and it's usually like a crossroad that is happening as well, where like you have the ability to like take one side versus the other. But for some people it's like the yin and yang. For some people it's like darkness versus lightness, like so. And for some people it's like two roads that you can take, that either way like it leads to a particular path, which is fine, but like it depends. But I believe that like during the moments of transitions, you sometimes have oppositions in the way, and sometimes darkness that like tries to prevent you away from the thing that you want to do. So sometimes like you will find yourself during the moments of transitions where literally everything around you is also going bad, and it's like, whoa, like how did this happen? And I believe that like, of course there's darkness that's possibly happening, right? But the other thing is like, I think God is like literally guiding you through like just like a tunnel, and the tunnel is usually dark. Most tunnels are dark, right? And at the end of the day you wind up seeing lightness, but to go through the darkness, you have to go through the darkness in order for you to see the lightness. And I think the same for moments of transitions, where the oppositions are there and they are set up to be there. And you might find yourself in a car accident during this time. You might find yourself like being a lot more emotionally heavy during this time. You might find yourself like struggling with more relationship buildings, and your relationship with your people that you know. So you might find yourself struggling a little bit more during this time, but it's because of that tunnel piece. And once you navigate through it, there's a lot more lightness at the end of it. It's like the light just pops up and just shows up and just like does its thing. But you will have to push through in order for you to really experience the fullness of the beauty of this transition. And of course, trusting in God. Y'all know, like, That's a struggle of mine, but I'm just surrendering at this point, like just literally letting it go. So to go back to the summit. So the thing that has the job that I did not like prepared me for this moment. And it's funny because like I knew that I came on to this fellowship to plan a conference, to plan a summit. But I did not know the amount of work. I knew the amount of work that it would take, but I did not know like how excited I would be, considering 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I did not necessarily have the best time. But the other thing is, like, and I wound up really enjoying it, right? Like, yeah. The other thing is, like, I'm literally sitting in a hotel right now because of my fellowship. Like, they're paying for me to stay here. Like, yeah. And then, as y'all know, like, I am trying to actively be more outside in the sense of, like, me being more public and me showing up as who I am, who I was meant to be, and who I want to be, and not necessarily hiding anymore. And this fellowship has allowed me to do that. Like, yeah, because I think I've had the same job for 5 years, and there's a particular level of comfort that you get working at a place for 5 years. And after a while, like, it becomes mundane to you. And there's like a particular level, like there's a cap that you have, like you cannot grow and go any further. And this particular fellowship has allowed me to like thrive in spaces where I forgot that I could, right? And that's so interesting, because like sometimes you put yourself in a position and you don't necessarily know why you're there or what the process is, and wind up being just so much better than what you expected, right? And then once again, in the first 2 months, I was like, oh, what am I doing? Okay, this is what I'm doing. And I understood the value of it, but I did not know that I would enjoy this as much. And the other thing is that, like, during the planning of the summits, me and my supervisor, we were talking about like the summit generally. And at some point, I was like, can I MC? Is that okay? First off, who am I asking to MC a whole summit about to be 150 people, just about, people to show up who are leaders, who are professionals, who are older than me, like who am I asking to be the MC of this? Like, that's crazy to me. Like, y'all, that to me is crazy. And I think it goes back to like I think you have to navigate through fears. You have to do it. Like, the future you will thank you for it. Like, I think so the summit was yesterday and went really well, or I don't know when I'm going to post this episode, but the summit went really well and I really enjoyed myself. Like, I was on stage doing my thing, people were laughing, like, I was literally like just doing my thing and I enjoyed it. And God willing, this is my bag, y'all. This is my bag. And I enjoyed it so much, and I forgot what I was saying, but yeah. So a little bit of backstory again about me is that, like, I used to hide when I was younger. I used to like not necessarily want to be seen. I knew that I wanted to, like, at some point possibly have my own talk show, or like just be outside and like just be public, but I did not know how, and I did not see myself doing it, right? And like every now and then I put myself in positions where I'm presenting at my job and like my personal and other areas of my life. Like, I'm literally presenting, and although in the beginning I sucked at it, I still committed. I really did suck at it, like, and it's okay to suck. Like, that's the thing. I don't think people allow you to suck during this lifetime, and I think it's okay to suck at things. I think it's perfectly fine. I think particularly in the age of social media, we want perfection immediately and instant gratification, but I don't think the reality is that's who we are. I think the truth is we will suck at things, for many of us, including myself, and it just get better with time. That's what I believe is the reality. That's what I believe is the reality. And unless you are a person who is a genius, which, show me your ways, you probably will never suck at something. But for the most of us, we will, and it's okay. But continuously navigating through the fear and navigating through like the sucking of something or the struggles of something is okay. You should, and that's perfectly fine. Struggle through it. Just don't stop. And it's also important to discern if you should be if you should stick to it, because sometimes we be struggling through some things and it's like, girl, let it go. Let it go, let it go. Okay, so those are the struggles of transitions, but the triumphs of transitions are, for one, you get to experience newness. You get to experience newness. You get to unlock another level of who you are, or who God has and had in store for you. Like what? The transitions, the beauty, the abundance, the more relationships, the more aligned you are with your purpose, the more money you have, the stronger you become, the more experiences that you have, the more skills you've developing. Like, transitions are meant to be better, are meant to help us be better, are meant to help us be better. And once again, I don't think all transitions are good, but I do think that God, in the midst of not good moments and situations, rectifies and restores. That's what I believe. Yeah. So the other beauty of transitions is, once again, you get to unlock another version of yourself, but you also get to not be stuck and not have regret. And that's a beautiful thing. Like, not having regret and not being stuck. Because if we don't transition, and if we don't move, and if we're like literally like at the same place, the reality is everything else around us is changing, literally. So we're just stuck in a bubble. And then that also breeds regret and resentment, which I don't want that for any of us, and I don't even want that for myself. So if you navigate through the transition, you're able to fully experience the abundance of transitions, and you won't have regret, you won't have resentment, and you won't be the only thing that's still in the midst of the things that are changing around you, because nothing is ever the same, which is hard to say, which is hard to experience. But as we know, like, this life in this world is limited and temporary. Like, God has us on this earth, in this realm, for X amount of time. And the older I get, the more I realize that, like, it's actually shorter, and it's quick. Like, it's quick. Like what? Like, it's really quick. And it happens so quick. I know I keep on saying that. And I think that's why we have to, like, live the life that we were meant to live. Yeah. And my goal in my life is for me to go back to God, and for God to be like, I called you, and you answered the call. That's what I want. And that's what I'm trying to do now. And I hope you do too, right? As you transition, as you know that you are meant to be worthy, or you are worthy now, and if you don't feel like it, I hope that you experience it at some point, that you know that you are. But the other thing is that, like, that you are meant to live an abundant life. You are meant to live an abundant life. Like, I know that, like, life is challenging, life is scary, but you are meant to live an abundant life. And in the midst of life's craziness, I pray that you live an abundant life, because you deserve it. Yeah, you deserve it. You deserve it. So y'all, I don't even know if my makeup is still here. Like, oh my God. I'm also questioning if I should post this episode, because I don't know how I feel about, like, just being as vulnerable, particularly with my emotions on the internet. But I feel like I will, but it also depends on, like, what the space is looking like. But I'm a baddie. I'm a whole baddie, y'all. So let's be clear. But when your makeup is off, like, it just changes everything. But in all, thank you so much for watching. I don't know how long this episode is, but what I would say is, in the midst of transitions, that you know that God got you. God got you. As you navigate through the transitions, the thing that's coming up next, it might be more work. You might have to heal through some things. You might have to shift and develop new skills. You might have to let go of some things that you do not want to let go of. But the beauty is God got you and you are worthy of the work. Thank you. So now I'm going to end off this episode with a prayer. I usually start in the beginning, but we're spicing things up. So assume a posture of reverence however way you pray. As we know, Activate God is a multi-faith interfaith community of 25,000+ subscribers across social media platforms, and I post daily prayers online, and I also recently launched the podcast, and at some point I want to do other things, so y'all watch out for Activate God, because we are going to be doing our thing, and I'm saying we as a me, you, us. We're doing this together, y'all, so come with me on this journey. But yeah, so let me do the prayer. Assume a posture of reverence. Dear God, Creator, we thank you yet for another day. We thank you for the ways that you continue to protect us, guide us, love us, and pour into us as you have been doing for all of our life. We ask that during these moments of transitions, that you continue to be there for us, that you allow us to, for one, be mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and financially well off and better and at peace, and that you also allow us to really, truly understand that the ability to surrender requires us to just trust you, and that in the midst of it, you got us. God, please show us the signs that you got us. Please allow us to experience beautiful miracles so that we understand that you got us. And I ask that you continue to be there for us during the moments of transitions so that we can be the best version of ourselves. We know that there's a calling on our life. We know that you have created an amazing purpose, an amazing destiny for us. And I ask that you allow us to navigate through it, work through it, push through it, and excel through it and struggle through it, but ultimately not quit to exist and thrive in the purpose that you've called us to exist in. We ask that you continue to be there for our loved ones as they navigate through transitions. We ask that we really answer the call that you have for our lives. We ask for protection, love, guidance. And once again, we thank you, God. We thank you for everything. We thank you for everything. We thank you for everything. Thank you. Ashe, Amin, and Amen. Or Amin, Amen, and Ashe. Alphabetically. Yeah, okay. Well, thank you once again for joining me for Activate God podcast. This was a pleasure. Yeah, this was a little bit too much for me to be out on the internet like crying, but here we are. And at some point, Activate God, I'm gonna be interviewing people, so bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. But once again, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Ciao. Welcome to another episode of Activate God podcast. You know, that's actually quite annoying, but I like doing it, so y'all bear with me. Hi, my host. Oh no, girl, in life, and specifically. So your girl is tired because she's been outside, and yeah. So the thing about having a dream is that, particularly in the beginning, you have to be the person who does most of the work, right? And that seems daunting, and it's a lot of work. But really, I think the part of the dream is the commitment to the dream, regardless of the work. And I think along the way, you do find people to support you, but there's a particular level of investment in the beginning that you have to have. So I've been thinking about, specifically for me, right? Like, y'all know I've been talking about doing a podcast for like at least a year now. And the amount of time that it takes to just set up just a tripod, a microphone, and a camera, it's actually harder than I thought. Like, and I'm tired and I'm frustrated. And then having to like set it up and be frustrated and then come back and actually film and still have the same energy and be excited, it is a lot. But in all, I think the reality is I'm committed to the dream more than I'm committed towards my own frustration and my own like timeline. Because although I wanted it to be done like about like 30 minutes ago, it's not, but I'm still committed to the dream. So I think the same for you. Commit to the dream regardless of what work you might have to do. But once again, I do think in order for you to know what the dream is, I think it's important to, for one, consult with your Lord, your creator, consult with your loved ones, and then really ask them, like, is this something that is like viable? And yes, most folks be like, well, not most, but some people be like, oh my God, like, I have people in my life who are not necessarily supportive. I'm sorry to that. And I think you should find new people. But the other thing is, for folks who actually have people who are supportive, I think it's important to tap into them and asking them for their insight and their wisdom, because it allows you to actually be better and for you to discern what to actually be doing. Because what I don't want you to do is to waste your time on something that you don't need. We don't do that here. We do not do that here. We are actually intentional about our time, about our dreams, about our purpose, about in alignment. And really the goal is for us to really just be our best selves. Thank you. Bye. Whew. And I want to sing for y'all. I don't know if I'm going to keep this in the episode. And this is a theme song currently. Episode 4, Activate God. 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 Episode 4, Activating God. Whew, thank you once again. My name is Habibat T. Shitu, and I am your host of the Activate God podcast. Well, thank you all so much. I will see you next time. Bye.